Right, hello everyone and welcome to the video. I want to make a quick apology before we get into the meat and the gravy of the video. I've been making a lot of Star Citizen videos of late and that's something I want to correct. Near the start of this year I made big lifestyle changes towards being healthier, and a lot of that stuff, like the exercising I've been doing and all that, has been taking up the time I used to use to make bonus videos. And all my Star Citizen videos I used to have making my bonus video time that I'd set aside for that. And so now I'm going to have to reevaluate that, and I'm starting to think, yes, I've made a mistake, it's been too long, we're going to jump back in and we're going to start making Star Citizen videos again, hopefully, and all that jazz. Yeah, my health is so much better, I've come on leaps and bounds. So it's not been for nothing. It is, yeah, I have lost an absolute ton of weight, I've gained a ton of muscle, and I'm just in such a better place. So it's not been for nothing. I apologise, and hopefully we can get some more juicy content on the go. And this video is all about a sort of one that was made by a different content creator group, I should say. It was inspired by them. It's going to be talking about the stuff they were talking about, and that is the Info Runners. Big huge shout out to them as well before we get into the meat and gravy. This video is, remember back in the day on YouTube they used to have the video responses? If that was still a thing, this would be a video response to that kind of thing, because it's really just all about them. They seem like great people, they always give really good advice, they always hit the nail on the head, they've got a really good amount of juicy, what's the word I'm looking for? Juicy, expectations is not the right word I'm looking for, but you get what I mean if I say they've got a lot of juicy expectations about the game. Theory crafting, there we go, that was the sort of word I was looking for. They've got a lot of good theory crafting on the game. They seem to understand a lot of it as well. They've also been there from the beginning, know everything about it. Could not recommend them anymore. But so yeah, let's get into the actual what we're going to talk about though. And it was they were talking about a Kraken, and they were talking about the minimum sort of requirements that Kraken's going to need to sort of support it, to get its job done that it wants to get done, to just put its feelers out and to explore more than just going around safe space, going around, like, I don't know, 5 minutes from a giant production facility. That's not the right term, but like shipyard, there we go. So it can get more than 5 minutes away from a shipyard and not be bothered. So we're talking about how it's going to be like needing fuel, it's going to need ammunition, it's going to need supplies, it's like all that sort of stuff. So if it can't just have something 5 minutes that way to resupply with, because it's wanting to actually go out and do some content, not just fly around the system and then go home. We're talking about that sort of stuff, the stuff that it's going to need. So of course, if you're on your Todd and you've managed to wrangle yourself a Kraken, you've got more money than me anyway, that's for sure, and you've got no friends and you just want to fly it, then yeah, you're still going to be able to do that. I'm not saying you're not going to be able to do that. What we're talking about is the logistics sort of involved and what you're going to really want. But if you're just leaving that comfort zone of being 5 minutes away from a resupply. So I'm going to go get some fleets built up, and I'll see you all in a second. Right, now here is the first of 3 fleets that I wanted to show you and talk about. And one of the things they did in the Info Runners video is they were trying to be minimalistic as possible. And this is my sort of take on that. The minimalistic as possible, what you're going to need to keep your Karak running and keep it not... Like, I would not say this Kraken is safe by any sense of the terms. Like, it runs into anything its size and upward, it is doomed if it runs. Like, it's only really safe against stuff smaller than itself in this situation. Yeah, but this is the sort of bare minimum. It's not looking for a fight, but it's just got enough to sort of defend itself, and it can go out and do some jobs and actually be played the way it's intended to be played. That sort of stuff. That's what I'm really looking at here. and to keep running. It needs to be able to keep running. It doesn't need to return to like a giant shipyard for repairs and that kind of thing, or fuel. And this is where we've got here. So we've got, obviously, the Kraken itself, and then 4 fighters for its 4 small landing bays. It does have its repair inside, which does double up with the Crucible a wee bit, but I'm thinking of talk about the Crucible later. I'm not get distracted. And then the 2 cutlasses for the top deck there. Now the fighters, I've chosen Gladiuses here because it's a good versatile all-rounder. Fits on the small pad, happy days. Could replace them with arrows, could replace them with buccaneers, could replace them with anything that'll fit on these pads really. I'm not really bothered what they are here. I'm just saying some form of fighters to give you like a small defensive squadron of fighters to help protect yourself. And then the 2 cutlasses, well, the Cutlass Black is a great all-round ship. It can do a wee bit of cargo to help with small resupplies and that sort of stuff, and also has that tractor beam and is a brilliant all-round little ship, and also themes really thematically with the Kraken. Cutlass Red is actually really important here, because as it stands at this point in time, Kraken has no medical facilities. So if your buddy gets hurt, that's just screwed. He's gone. Like, he could completely reset and like die completely and then be back at some sort of landing like shipyard or planet or whatever his fully dead respawn point is. That's him away. Like, then he could jump on a resupply and then get back to you, but that's still going to be out of the game for a long time. You want to try and minimize the chances of that happening, and just having some form of medical facilities, even if it's just a small Cutlass Reds, would go a long way. Like, oh, that guy's broke his arm. Well, we can do this and then it'll be almost perfect. And it'll, you see what I'm saying here? This medical facilities having some form is going to be brilliant. Plus, having this be able to go rescue a buddy, say like his plane was shot down and he's like sitting there with a broken leg on a planet just looking up at the sky, like, yeah, brilliant. And a great addition and adds a lot to this little tiny fleet. So that's your sort of main unit right here. That's that all sorted. Then I added the Crucible, because as I said, you want to minimize the chances you're going to have to go back to like a shipyard, a big shipyard somewhere, especially if you're a pirate or something. Stuff like that is going to be really rare and you're not going to want to go to them. It's going to take a long time to have to go back from whatever your juicy content is that you're experiencing to go get those repairs. And having a Crucible around, like say a huge turret gets blown off the Kraken, one of his big ones, how are you going to get that fixed? How are you going to get that sorted without going back to the shipyard? This bad boy here. Plus, with the Scarab, is it they call it? The little shell thing, that could also act as a second like repair and rearm like hangar, or if you really wanted to, if you're in a battle, jump in, get that done there, help out there. But that's not really big. The real thing here is just to keep the Kraken working at its highest potential possible without having to go back to the shipyard for a refit. Then the Starfarer is rather obvious as again. Fuel. You're going to need fuel. So you're going to need to send him back for supplies, fuel. So this is your supply ship. He's going to be going back to base like, Dave! We're really short on fuel and we're really short on food rations. Could you take the Starfarer and hop back to port? Super teleporter matrix. I don't know why. Really don't know why there's a port called that, but there is now. And once you've been to this port that I can't even remember what I called it, grab those things and come back. Brilliant, perfect, super. But you're in not 100% safe space. You're in questionable space. Starfarer's a really juicy target, isn't it? You're going to need an escort. That's why these Redeemers are here, because you're going to need to... just their extra defense, more defenses. Like having the fighters, having 2 of these is I think almost all the info runners took the 2 redeemers just for escorts and that in their fleets, and I couldn't agree more. It is almost perfect. It's, yeah. Comparing mines to what the info runners had as well, they never took a Crucible, which I'm actually really surprised in, because it's one of the ships that they normally sing the praises for, and they all took Starfarers to get fuel. I suppose they're thinking definitely going to need fuel more than it's going to need repairs, so the Starfarer is more important than the Crucible, but I'm actually surprised that they didn't think repairs, like on the go, not having to go back to the shipyard to get repairs, especially with this being a much more fragile collection of ships. I thought that was quite important, and well, maybe I wish those sons. No, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, this is the minimum I think you should have if you just want to have a Kraken and have it work effectively, doing what it needs to do, that sort of thing. This is bare minimum. It requires 42 crew, 11 pilots, 11 crew, and 20 other. You'd probably argue 20 other, probably AI. That's probably even more than that actually. You could probably need about 15 players total. The rest can be AI, or I'm not really one for wanting to max out your crew either. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this before, but I want to have multiple roles when I'm on a ship. I don't want to be just sitting right, it's my job to manage the shields. Oh, we need the shields changed again. See what I'm saying is, another one I was thinking is an engineer. An engineer is going to have a very important role in battle, and unless you're like a military crew and a really big ship like a Javelin, you're probably not going to need to be an engineer 24/7, if you get what I'm saying. So like engineer, turret gunner, crossover, do both jobs. And say you're on a Mercury Star Runner, that kind of thing, or something like small like that, where it's not going to be just fight, and it's not huge. So there's not going to be like a fire on this deck to put out, then a fire on that deck to put out, because you're not like taking fire from all angles involved in big huge battles. Then yeah, engineer, turret gunner, crossover there. A lot of crossover. Like, oh, the fighters are always coming at us from the top. We'll get the guy on the bottom turret gunner to put out the fire. See what I'm saying? Crossover. And I went off tangent here again. Yeah. Talking about something I really shouldn't have been talking about. I like to ramble. And anyone that's watched my videos before will definitely know this by now. And so yeah, that is my minimalistic approach to the Kraken. And for the second one, I think we're going to do something a bit more fun and a bit more restrictive and a bit more wacky. You'll see in a second. Right, on to my second one, which actually has less crew requirements, which I thought was a wee bit insane. And let's start by explaining what you're looking at here, because a lot of people are going to be looking at this going, what the hell? Then the first thing they'll probably notice is it's all Drake. That is the first rule that I would put on myself here. The people that have made this fleet are Drake fanboys. And they're not just Drake fanboys. Nothing wrong with being a Drake fanboy. I like Drake myself. Probably like all the ship manufacturers. Argo's probably my least favourite. But I'm getting distracted and going off on tangents again. Can't even remember what I was about to say. Yeah, they're Drake. They love Drake, and they're role players, and they want to roleplay being pirates. And then apart from that, similar approach to last time. Now, the first things you're probably going to be looking at this is going, no Starfarer. No Starfarer, that's... And I completely agree. Like, these would have been so much better, like one of these being a Starfarer, like both of them being one Starfarer would probably be so much more efficient. But the rule I'm putting on, Drake only, they want to be Drake only, and I'm really banking on the fact that there will be a way, which we don't even know there probably won't be, but this whole fleet is banking on the fact that there will be a way to store fuel in like a canister. But like it'll be, I'm hoping it'll be, if there is such a thing. Obviously, it'd be really inefficient compared to holding it in, say, like a Starfarer. You know what I mean? Like the SCU boxes, but more like the ones in the event that was recently in our in-game. Now, the ones that like blow up if you turn your ship too fast and that sort of thing. Like in a canister, sort of like that, but it can hold fuel. And that is how you're going to get fuel and supplies from these two. If that isn't a thing, which it probably isn't a thing. I'm just opening my mouth and letting my belly rumble. It probably isn't a thing. Then these guys, if they ever do exist, if they exist out there, hi, I don't know how I imagined you to be real. They're going to have to make a sacrifice to get Starfarer. There's just no ifs, no buts. They're going to need one. They're not going to get out of it if that's not a thing, which it probably isn't a thing. So we don't know. It might be a thing one day. I'm just pulling it out my ass right now. So yeah, they're probably going to need a Starfarer. But for now, save these guys for resupply. Other differences, as you'll notice, the fighters are now Buccaneers. Obviously, they're Drake. And I added a Vulture for being in the hangar or just on one of these platforms because there's no repair. There's no Drake repair ship. A Drake, like a Cutlass repair variant, could kind of really suit Drake, actually. Like, that would actually be kind of cool. Could you imagine, like, a Cutlass Yellow? Well, I really like the sound of that. A Cutlass Yellow with a, like, it has a little repair arm that just comes out, like a really, like, that sort of thing. That could suit Drake, like a militia repair ship. There is no such thing at the moment, anyway. No matter how cool that would be. So, yes, you're thinking, I'm getting off on a tangent again already before I even explained my original point. But you're like, why are you talking about repair? The Vulture's not repair, it's salvage. And my whole thinking here is I'm trying to minimize the amount of time they have to go back to a safe harbor to get repairs and that type of stuff. And we know more about how repair works now and how it is kind of like the opposite end of the spectrum of salvage. And the very basic thing you're going to be able to do is like the strip and hull, which is going to give you this resource, which you can then use to repair not superficial damage, but light damage to the hull and that sort of stuff. So you're going to be able to like heal the base, like not the base structure, but the base sort of like armor plating, the surface area with the resource you're able to mine from your pirate escapades with the Vulture. And that's going to mean you're going to have to go back to harbour, safe harbours far less. If your turret gets ripped off, yeah, you're probably still going to have to go back. You're not going to have the ability to repair your turret getting ripped off with just having the Vulture. But yeah, you just go do some pirate shenanigans. You use your little salvage to get some salvage out of that, and then you use that to spray back onto your ships, giving you a wee bit of repair. You could also argue that resource you could just get as a buying it. I feel like just having it more at hand and getting a more constant restock of it, like from your main content, is much more efficient. It means it will mean a lot less supply runs for these caterpillars over here. The cutlasses, same as last time, red for those medical facilities, black for utility, all the juiciness. And then we have the Corsairs here, because they are doing the roles of the Redeemers. They have a lot of firepower, and their turrets may not be the best at the moment, but that's really the best sort of for that role that I could think of. The two of them together should have one hell of a lot of alpha strike, and should make these look like a lot less of an appealing target for an opportunistic pirate. Just giving them that basic extra defense that you're going to have to spend a lot more than you're going to gain from attacking me kind of situation, hopefully, from that. The other role I had in mind for these Corsairs is they're an exploration ship, according to Drake. These will be great for just scouting ahead of your carrack and your stealing crew, and just being like, right, that guy there, look, there's a hull. not much defences. Send the information back to boss and boom, out you come, go gobble them up. So yeah, exploration, finding juicy targets, that is another job of these guys. In case anyone's wondering as well, like pirates, you just got 4 buccaneers and a couple of cutlasses, and then you'd argue like one of these will be with, or one or both of these as well to do your actual initial fight, do the piracy. That's not much, but again here, I'm seeing this as a time where the Kraken actually gets involved in the piracy. It's not going to be looking for targets its size. It's going to be looking for targets smaller. This is again minimalistic. This is going to be looking for people it can bully. It's not looking for fair fights. It's a pirate. So yeah, it's looking for fights where it's not going to take a lot of damage, and then it's using all the resources it has at hand to quickly steal them, get some salvage, get out of there if it can. Yeah, all that stuff. Now a quick note before we move on as well for these here. Oh, frames this browser doesn't seem to want to cooperate. But these actually have a sizable amount of storage themselves, which still not much compared to a caterpillar. I can't remember off the top of my head. Let's take a look at the CU. Yeah, 72. They're not much, but it's enough that it can contribute to these caterpillars for the resupply and that sort of stuff. Damn, the Kraken's got a lot. And that is this one. So let's move on to the third one. And for the third one, I'm going to describe it slightly before we go to it because it's quite different. I've went completely away from the minimalistic approach. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and just maximize everything. I want to get 100% efficiency out of that Kraken. I want that Kraken to have everything it needs, waited on hand, like 24/7 service to that Kraken kind of thing. I want to blow diminishing returns out of the water kind of thing. Like, diminishing returns, not a worry here. We're just going to max out that Kraken. The one caveat I've given here sort of is it's still got to be all about the Kraken. It's so no adding bigger ships. Only adding ships that are going to add more to helping the Kraken out, or helping out ships that are helping the Kraken out. So there's no like adding a second Kraken, there's no adding like a javelin, there's nothing like that, but we're still then going to still maximize the single Kraken's potential and do whatever we can. So that's the third one. See you all in a second. Right, here we are in this third fleet. And I'll start from talking about the things that have changed from that original first fleet, if you remember. The Cutlass Red and the Cutlass Black have both turned into Eclipses because those are going to have so much more punch. They're going to give you so much more threat. They're going to give you, yeah. If you get involved in a fight with something of your size and bigger now, you're not going to be as scared unless it's starting to get a lot bigger and there's a lot more of them kind of thing with this fleet here. This is the sort of Kraken working peak efficiency, as I said. So yeah, they're gone, turned into them. You've still got your 4 fighters. The Redeemers have gone, and they've doubled in size. Well, the Redeemers have went from 2 to 4, and it's turned into 2 Perseuses and 2 Hammerheads. These are the new escorts for whatever's leaving the main fleet, or for if you're going to get involved in a fight, you're going to want these there. These are your sort of, your go-to, your punch, your escorts, your whatever you're going to want to do. They're there to just keep the Kraken and whatever you're doing safe, and the Kraken's there to facilitate it, be the base behind them. And yeah, there's I love the yin yang going on here between the Perseus and the Hammerhead. I feel like they're a great duo, especially when there's like they work really well together, just like the one with the big guns, one with the little guns. They cover each other's weaknesses quite well, that sort of stuff. So for the combat ships that are in that sort of scale, great yin-yang thing going on there with them. And I feel like as you scale up to have more of them, it just becomes even more and more of a yin-yang like collaborative thing together, and the 2 and 2, perfect. So that basically, oh, and a single Gemini, which is doubled to 2, is basically the original fleet. Oh, and the Crucible. That's still. Gemini's has turned into 2 though. I was tempted to make it free, because when you take a look at the amount of ships that there is here now, there's a lot more fuel requirements. That means that little Crucible, that little Starfarer is going to be making a lot more trips to get fuel to resupply everyone. And when it gets back, it's probably going to be just going, right, here's everyone, it's fuel, right, I need to turn around and go back and get more. There's none left in the tank to supply anyone anymore. And so he's going to have to turn right back around and go back and get more. So that's why I got 2. Now, we don't know how, obviously the balance is no longer known, isn't known, never has been known for when this game is going to be released, but I would not be surprised if you're going to need 3 Starfarer Geminis. Right. Have I been calling them Geminis? They're Starfarers, the Gemini is the military variant of it. Yes, 2, maybe even 3 Starfarers for the fuel requirements, resupply needs of this fleet. You talked about before, repairs, all that sort of stuff. Barry Merchantman! Why has that been added to the fleet? And it is another ship that will probably be leaving and getting an escort from 2 or maybe all 4 of these, is this guy here. He can help with the resupply, but that is really not why I got him here. The reason he's here is a lot of the content that this will be doing, especially if they're pirates, they're going to fight getting stuff to sell. They're going to be needing to sell their stuff. So this is a mobile marketplace for this fleet just to go, right, 1 Perseus, 1 Hammerhead, escort the bounty merchantmen, take it to this planet, sell all this, and then come back, and then we'll make a lot of money. That's what that's for. And now we are moving on to the Endeavour here. The main reason the Endeavour's been added is a twofer, really, to be honest. More hangar space, and because we're not allowed a second Kraken, and this, I've 50% consider this cheating, because the Endeavour's probably going to grow to be at least the size of the Kraken, probably a lot bigger, and so the Endeavour feels like it's breaking my rules of nothing bigger than a Hammerhead. But for now, we're just going to do this from what we know 100%, and that is the Endeavour like this. So, more hangar space, and healing. Top tier medical facility and hangar space. That is what this is all about for it. So you could add maybe a second wing of fighters to here. I've not done it here because we don't have the final information on the Endeavour. As I said, it's almost definitely going to grow a lot. Yes, that's another thing info runners are great for. They sing the praises of this ship, and I couldn't agree more. Yeah, so there's probably want to add a second row of Gladiuses here to make that into account, and that's just going to give you some more fighter coverage, and then, but mainly the medical facilities. As you can see here, we've gone up to 79 crew. That's without a second Starfarer, and I would be tempted to add a second Endeavour as another carrier, like just to get more hangars, because we're not allowed a second Kraken. That was one of the rules we implied here, put on. So yeah, you could probably add another 10 crew to that, and that would be like one hell of a fleet. And you're going to need something like this if you want to get peak efficiency out of this Kraken. Like, one of the reasons we said we didn't want to go bigger than that is because all about the Kraken. But if you have an even bigger ship, like, forget the Kraken for this. Disappear. Not disappear, move over there. See, I don't know how I have a ship here that I can think of. But anyway, say you've got a Javelin, and your Javelin is the ship you're building everything around. You will then be able to add a Kraken to that fleet and get peak efficiency out of it. But then you're going to need all this underneath the Kraken to get peak efficiency for the Kraken to then help be one of the ships that are giving the peak efficiency to the Javelin. It's kind of what I'm saying. it's insane. The amount of AI we're going to need to recruit and player friends we're going to need to have to run these ships is it's huge. Which is kind of the original reason that the Inforunners made their video, was just to sort of highlight that fact, because there's a lot of people going around with really big ships just on their Todd, and it's rather insane. So, I hope you have all enjoyed this video. It's been mainly me rambling and having fun in Fleet View. But I like rambling and talking about Star Citizen. I think it's so much potential here. Such a great thing to talk about, and such an interesting topic of talk to discuss about. If you have any thoughts and feelings, what do you think about my fleets? Would you have made any changes to my fleets? Feel free to let me know down below. Hope you have all enjoyed this. I've probably already said that, and I shall see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.